She calls me daughter now. They said she'd hate me, said I'd cry, said I'd pack my bags and say goodbye. But love don't follow rules or fear. And now she hugs me, calls me dear. I came into her world so new, wearing my white gown and dancing shoes. They whispered, she won't like your smile. But I just loved her all the while. I helped her cook, I swept the floor. I laughed with her, and so much more. I saw the woman, not the throne. And slowly, she made me her own. Now she calls me daughter, not just wife. We share the stories of her life. We cry, we sing, we cook, we pray. And thank the stars that I stayed. No more war, no more fight. She's my mama now, and I'm her light. Oh, they were wrong, can't you see? She fell in love with me. Her eyes were tough, her voice was strong. But underneath, she'd waited long. For someone kind, not proud or loud. Someone to make her son feel proud. I didn't rush, I didn't shout. I loved her gently, inside out. I saw the girl she used to be, and let her be herself with me. Now she calls me daughter, not just wife. We share the stories of her life. We cry, we sing, we cook, we pray. And thank the stars that I stayed. No more war, no more fight. She's my mama now, and I'm her light. Oh, they were wrong, can't you see? She fell in love with me. No more lines drawn in the sand. Now we walk through life hand in hand. I didn't win with words or war. I knocked with love, and she opened her door. Final chorus. Now she calls me daughter, not just wife. We share the stories of her life. We cry, we sing, we cook, we pray. And thank the stars that I stayed. She holds my child, she holds my heart. We're not just family, we're a work of art. Oh, they were wrong, can't you see? She fell in love with me. They said it couldn't happen. But love made a way. Now mother-in-law. Feels like memoir every day. They warned me before I walked into that house. Your mother-in-law is fire and thunder. Respect her, but don't expect her to love you. Even my husband whispered as we stepped out of the car. Just don't talk too much. She doesn't like outsiders. But how could I be an outsider? I married her only son. I stepped in with my heart pounding like a village drum during festival. Her eyes met mine. Cold. Calculating. Centuries of tradition behind her stare. To her, I was just a threat wrapped in a wedding dress. But what no one knew was that I wasn't raised to fight with fists. I was raised to win with kindness. And that was the day it began. The silent war. The unspoken battle. But also, the softest, most unexpected love story. Not between a man and a woman, but between two women. Raised by different rules. Bound by the same man. And brought together by something deeper than blood. This is how I made her love me. This is how she stopped calling me that girl. And started calling me daughter. They say love hits you like thunder. But mine came like a whisper. A soft smile at the back of a dusty community library. That's how I met him. His name was Ekanem. I had gone there to borrow a recipe book for my little catering business. I wasn't looking for anything more than a few spicy rice tips. But fate had other plans. Excuse me, came a deep voice beside me. Do you know if this book is any good? I turned. And there he was. Tall. Neatly bearded. Eyes calm, like river water at dawn. His shirt was clean but worn, and his shoes had the look of someone who walked a lot but complained little. I blinked. Well, it's good if you want your guests to stay after the meal, I said, trying to sound smarter than I felt. He chuckled, and my heart betrayed me. We spoke for 10 minutes. Then 30. Then over an hour. Before I knew it, the librarian was ringing her bell to shut down the building. And I left with a heart more full than my borrowed book. 1 week turned into 2. He kept coming back, to the library, to my stall, to my world. Ekanem was different. He listened with his eyes. He remembered my sister's name. He brought me lemons when I had a cold. And when he finally said, I want you to meet someone. My stomach danced and screamed at the same time. The day Ekanem took me to his family house, the sky wore a heavy silence. As if even the clouds were waiting to see what would happen. The gate creaked like an old secret as we walked in. It was a large compound, built with quiet wealth and village pride. The flowers were trimmed. The walls bore the stubborn marks of rain and time. She's in the backyard, Ekanem said. I noticed his steps slow. His eyes flicked toward me, unsure. Are you okay? I asked. He smiled, but only halfway. Just be yourself. That was the first warning. She was sitting in a cane chair, shelling aguzi with methodical grace. Her wrapper was wrapped tight, her scarf ironed into obedience. She didn't look up when we approached. "Mama," Ikanem called, voice careful. She answered, still focused on the seeds. "This is Ima, the one I told you about." Her hands paused. Slowly, she lifted her head. Our eyes met. She looked me up and down. Not like a person, more like a report card. "Good evening, Ma," I said, smiling. No answer, only a nod. And then silence. Ikanem cleared his throat. "She brought you something from her shop." I stretched out the parcel. Soft pastries, wrapped in clean napkins. She didn't take it. She looked at Ikanem instead. "So this is who you chose?" "Mama, she's kind. She's a good woman. She has soft hands. Can she carry wood?" Ima swallowed hard. I can learn." She scoffed. "Can you cook native soup? Or just this sugar and flour for children?" I can try, Ma." She stood up and walked past me. Her shoulder brushed mine. Not gently. As she disappeared into the house, she dropped the words like ashes. A wife should not come with lip and powder. She should come with sense and silence. I stood there, heart heavy but pride unbroken. Ikanem looked at me with regret. "I'm sorry," he whispered. I shook my head, blinking back tears. "No need. She's protecting her son. I'll show her. I came to protect him too." That night, I cried in my room. But it wasn't the kind of cry that breaks you. It was the kind that wakes you up. The rooster hadn't even finished its first cry when I heard a knock at the door. Knock, knock, knock. Sharp. Purposeful. No good morning. No greeting. I scrambled out of bed, wrapped my scarf, and opened the door. There she was. Mema Ikanem, standing with a wooden bowl in one hand and pepper soup leaves in the other. "Follow me," she said. No smile. No explanation. I followed her into the kitchen. The firewood stove had already been lit. Smoke curled into the sky like a warning. She dropped the leaves on the table and pointed to a basin of fish. "Clean it. Cut it. Wash it with salt and lime. Don't let it smell." I nodded. "Yes, Ma." She stood with folded arms, watching like a hawk waiting for a chick to fall. "Please subscribe." As I reached for the fish, my hands trembled a little. But I remembered how I cleaned mackerel at home, how my mother taught me to open the belly with a steady hand. Mema Ikanem didn't speak, but I could feel her thoughts pressing into my skin. After 15 minutes of silence, she finally said, "You handle fish better than I expected." "Thank you, Ma." She grunted. "But fish is easy. Can you pound yam? Real yam, not those soft city ones." She pointed to the mortar. It was big. Bigger than the one at home. The yam sat beside it like a dare. I nodded, rolled up my sleeves, and went to work. By the time the sun stretched itself fully across the sky, I had cooked, cleaned, swept, and peeled enough to fill a small market stall. And she still hadn't smiled. Later that day, Ikanem pulled me aside. "She woke you up early, didn't she?" I laughed, a weak laugh. "You think she's done?" "She does this with all women," he said. "But she's tougher on you because you're different." "Different how?" He looked away. "She says your beauty is a distraction. That women like you only come to eat and wear fine clothes." I felt a lump rise in my throat. "Do you believe that?" I asked. He cupped my face gently. "I believe you're the strongest woman I know. And if anyone can win her heart, it's you." But the real test wasn't fish. Or yam. Or chores. It came that evening, when Mama called me to sit beside her under the mango tree. She held a picture of a young girl. About 10 years old. Beautiful. Bright eyes. Missing front teeth. "My daughter," she said. "She died 11 years ago." I froze. I'm so sorry, Ma." "She would have been your age now. Would have married. Given me grandbabies." Her voice cracked slightly, but she swallowed it. She liked to sing. Climb trees. Cook soup without tasting it. I didn't know what to say. So I did what my mother taught me. I reached out, gently, and touched her hand. And I whispered, "She must have been wonderful." Mama didn't speak for a long while. Then she turned to me and said quietly, "Don't try to replace her. Just be better than what I fear." That night, I couldn't sleep. Not from sadness, but because something shifted in her eyes. Not love yet, but not war anymore either. 2 days after the visit to Ikanem's family house, I escorted him to the bus stop. He was returning to Onitsha to resume work at the oil company. I wish I could go with you, I murmured as the bus engine rumbled to life. He took my hand through the window, pressed something into it. It was a small note. Folded. Nothing fancy. Ima, my heart lives in two places now, Onitsha and you. I blinked fast, holding back tears. Don't go and fall in love with one office girl, oh. He smiled. The only thing I'll fall into is missing you. The bus pulled away, and I stood waving until the dust swallowed it. That night, the loneliness was loud. But the next morning, his call came before the sun even woke. Can I visit your parents this weekend? He asked. I smiled into my pillow. Are you sure? My mother talks more than your mother stares. Perfect. My ears are stronger than her voice. We laughed, and my heart bloomed. By Friday afternoon, Ikanem was back in our village, clean haircut, neat trousers, and a bag full of respect. Mama and Papa sat in the corridor, waiting. I watched from behind the curtain as Ikanem stepped forward and greeted them the way I taught him. He knelt. Good evening, Mama. Good evening, Papa. I greet you with peace. My father chuckled, clearly impressed. Peace received, my son. Stand up. You came like someone with sense. Mama smiled broadly. Ah, so this is the one that has turned our daughter to a night talker, N. Ikanem laughed nervously. She talks about me. Only when she's breathing, Papa joked, and we all burst out laughing. That evening, my mother served bitterleaf soup with pounded yam. I watched with pride as Ikanem ate like someone raised in our house. My son, Papa said between bites, we hear you're working with an oil company in Onitsha. Yes, sir. Crownwell Oil. I manage pipeline inspections and community liaisons. Papa raised his brow. That's big. Mama added. So you only came to the village to pick a wife, N. Ikanem nodded, smiling. Yes, Ma. I told God I want a woman with heart, not heels. And he led me to Ima. Papa's eyes softened. Then why are we wasting time? After the plates were cleared, Mema and Papa called a private meeting. I was standing outside the door, pretending not to listen. He's a good boy, Mema said. Respectful. Honest. And he loves her, Papa added. Mema's voice dropped. And he's working. Not all these lazy, fine boys roaming with perfume and no purpose. I say we don't delay. Let the elders meet and fix a date. These two are not children. Agreed. I ran off before they caught me eavesdropping. Later, as Ikanem and I sat under the moonlight, he took my hand. Ima, your parents, they're everything I prayed for. So warm. So accepting. I nodded. They've been preparing for this day since I was 10. I think my mother already picked my wedding wrapper. He laughed. Then I better be ready. Because I want to marry you fast, before you change your mind. I won't, I whispered. I've already given you the part of me no one else can hold, my peace. He kissed my palm. I'll protect it like it's my own breath. Please subscribe. The next morning, Papa invited Ikanem to drink palm wine with the elders. They blessed him. And the wedding date was fixed, 2 months from today. Not rushed, but not delayed either. As he left for Onitsha that Sunday evening, I whispered into his ear at the bus park. 2 months. Then I'm yours forever. He smiled, his eyes glistening. No, Ima. You were mine the day you smiled at me in that library. It was a peaceful Thursday morning. Mama was peeling cassava in the backyard. Papa was fixing the bench by the front porch, and I was inside humming to myself as I folded clothes for the wedding preparation. Then we heard it, 3 sharp knocks. Knock. 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 Mama wiped her hands on her wrapper. Who knocks like they are chasing a thief? Papa opened the door. There she stood, Mema Ikanem, wrapped in a stiff purple lace and carrying a face tight with thunder. Good morning, Papa greeted. She didn't answer. She walked in uninvited, like a woman carrying a heavy verdict. I heard you people fixed a wedding date without involving me, she began, her voice like a stone dragging across gravel. Did you think I'm dead? Papa remained calm. Sit down, Mama. Let's talk. I won't sit, she snapped. You want me to sit and watch my only son marry a girl I don't know? That I haven't tested? That I haven't even smelled long enough to know if she's real? Mema rose, her hands clenched. With all due respect, Mema Ikanem, we thought. Thought what? She cut in. That because my son is working in an oil company, any girl can just follow him like ants chasing sugar? Do you know how many nights I slept hungry to pay his school fees? How many days I went to people's farms so he could wear good shoes to school? I stood behind the curtain, my heart pounding, tears pressing. She continued, "And now that his somebody, you want your half-cooked, half-trained, unturned cake to enter my house? Never." There was a long silence. Then Papa spoke, voice still polite but firm. "Memar Ekanum, we don't appreciate the insult. But because we honor your age and position in Ekanum's life, we won't speak back with anger. But if Ima is untrained, who trained Ekanum to see gold in her?" Memar Ekanum flared. "It's love. Foolish love. The kind that blinds men and destroys legacies." Memar finally spoke. "What exactly do you want, Memar Ekanum?" She adjusted her wrapper and spat out her answer like fire. "Let your daughter come to my house for 2 months. Let me train her, observe her, bend her where she's stiff, and see if she can survive in my kind of family. After 2 months, I'll give my verdict. If she passes, fine. If not, the marriage is cancelled." Papa cleared his throat. 2 months in your house, as what?" "As a daughter-in-law-to-be," Memar Ekanum answered. "No maid, no slave, but under my rules. No phones, no friends, just lessons and evaluations." Memar took a deep breath. "Let me ask you something, Memar Ekanum. If we had come to your house with such a demand, would you have accepted it?" Silence. Papa stepped forward. "You said you trained your son in the rain and sun. We also trained our daughter in patience, in respect, in wisdom. She's not perfect, but she's not raw either." Memar Ekanum raised her chin. "Then prove it." "We have nothing to prove," Papa said. "Marriage is not a military training. It's a union between 2 grown people who choose to grow together. Not a punishment. You are rejecting my conditions." "Yes," Memar replied, her voice clear. "Not because we don't value your son, but because our daughter is not a project. She is a partner." There was a long pause. Memar Ekanum hissed softly, adjusted her jewel, and turned to the door. "I have said my own. Whatever happens from now, don't say I didn't warn you." She stormed out, leaving behind a thick silence and a floor full of invisible wounds. I came out from behind the curtain, tears streaming down. Memar hugged me. "Don't cry, my child. A woman who spits at gold will one day look for it in the mud." Papa nodded. "If Ekanum is truly yours, no storm will carry him away." And I prayed with all my heart that they were right. The sun hadn't reached its full height when Ekanum arrived, covered in sweat, his shirt clinging to his back. He hadn't waited to change from the bus. He came straight from the park. Memar and Papa were sitting outside. I was inside, weaving the handle of a wedding basket. He dropped to his knees before them. "Memar, Papa, please, forgive me." Papa looked up from the gourd he was sipping. "What's the matter, son?" Ekanum bowed his head. "My mother. Her visit. Her words. I just heard. I'm ashamed. She never told me she was coming." Memar said nothing. Her silence was a long river. "I swear to you both, if I had known, I would have stopped her. I will talk to her. She's just afraid of losing me, but I'll speak to her heart. She will reconsider. She must." He turned to me then, voice trembling. "Ima, please, don't be angry. I didn't raise hopes to break them. I still want you. All of you." I wanted to speak, but I knew the weight of what I had to say. I dropped to my knees before my parents. "Memar, Papa," I said softly, "I must say something." They looked at me, eyes narrowed in surprise. I stayed with Memar Ekanum for 2 days before, when Ekanum brought me home for the first time. She cooked for me. She let me sleep in her own room. She even combed my hair while telling me stories of her youth. It was one of the sweetest moments of my life. Papa's brow furrowed. Memar shifted in her seat. "I'm not defending her harshness," I continued. "But I understand her pain. She raised a gem and wants to protect him. If staying with her for 2 months will show her that I'm not here to take him away, but to add to his joy, then I will go. Willingly. Because I love him." Silence. Then a storm. Papa stood. "You will not. What pride do we have left as a family if you agree to such humiliation?" Memar's eyes burned. "You are not a goat to be tested for softness. You are our daughter." Even Ekanum shouted. "No, Ima. No. I won't let you. If loving me comes with such a price, then let me walk away. I would rather be alone forever than let you bow to that madness." Ekanum rose, fists clenched. "I'm sorry, but I can't be part of this anymore. I'll walk away before I become what she fears, weak." He turned and stormed out of the compound, his footsteps pounding like thunder. I watched him go, my chest crumbling. But love isn't silent when it's real. I got up, ran after him barefoot, dust and gravel cutting my feet. Ikanem. I called, my voice breaking the air. He didn't stop. Ikanem, please wait. Still he walked, head down, fists tight. I ran faster. Tell Mama I'm coming. He stopped. His back rose and fell like a man struggling with war inside his chest. Tell her. I'll stay with her. 2 months. Even a year if it means I can marry you. He turned around slowly. His face was wet. With tears or sweat, I couldn't tell. No, he whispered. Don't say that. I must, I said, stepping closer. Because love does not always wait for perfect conditions. Sometimes, it walks through fire, just to prove it's pure. He looked away, his jaw tight. You shouldn't have to prove anything. But I want to. And then, silence. We stood there, in the middle of the road, 2 broken hearts still beating for each other. The cock had barely finished its second crow when Ima tiptoed out of her parents' house. She wore a simple wrapper and tied her second gown in a nylon bag. Her eyes were heavy, not from sleep, but from all the thoughts that had kept her awake. She didn't tell anyone. She didn't even leave a note. Just her shadow dancing in the morning mist, and her heart determined to make a mother love her. It was nearly 3 hours later when she reached the outskirts of Ikanem's village. Her legs were weak, her sandals dusty, but her spirit burned steady. When she approached the compound, she saw Ikanem seated outside on a wooden bench, beside his mother. They were talking in hushed tones, both wearing faces of deep silence, until his eyes caught movement beyond the gate. He saw her. His eyes widened, as though he were seeing a ghost. He stood quickly, his heart thudding. Ima. She nodded softly, too tired to speak. He walked briskly to her, opened his arms, and wrapped her in an embrace full of confusion, love, and worry. He whispered close to her ear, I told you not to come. You don't have to humiliate yourself to marry me. You have nothing to prove. I love my mother and I love you. I know her place, and I know yours. Ima placed her head gently on his shoulder, then stepped back and looked into his eyes. Ikanem, please, she said quietly. Let me please her. She has her reasons. She's trying to protect you, like a hen guards her chicks from the hawk. She glanced towards Mama Ikanem, who now watched from the porch in stunned silence. I just want to show her, Ima continued, that I'm not a hawk. I'm a lover. I want to be her daughter, not her rival. If she doesn't love me, how can she trust me with you? Ikanem's eyes were glassy now, a tear waiting for the breeze. You told me, Ima said softly, how you became her only joy when your father died. You were all she had, her only treasure. I understand her fear. She touched his chest. But I will not fight her. I will love her until she sees me not as a thief of her son, but as a friend of her heart. Ikanem swallowed hard. He took both of her hands in his. What about your parents? That's why you must go, she whispered. Tell them I'm sorry. I stole away. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sit still. She blinked, holding her tears in. Tell them my time with them is now numbered. I must marry one day. I must leave. Help them understand that their girl is not gone. She is only growing. Ikanem kissed her forehead, then turned and ran. He didn't walk. He ran, like a man carrying a woman's honor in his chest. When Ikanem reached Ima's house, her father was standing with a cutlass beside the barn. Mama was shelling groundnuts by the kitchen door. They both froze when they saw him. Where is she? Papa backed. Where is my daughter? Ikanem fell to his knees. Please, forgive me. She's with my mother. Mama gasped. Jesus. She left without a word. She didn't even say goodbye. I know, Ikanem said, his head bowed. She didn't want to cause more trouble. She only wanted peace. Papa's hand tightened on his cutlass. So you think this is right? To steal our daughter like a thief in the night? Are we trees without honor? No, sir, Ikanem said. And that's why I came. Not to justify her, but to beg you. He looked up at them, tears already sliding down his cheeks. She did this because she loves me. She knew the pain it would bring. But she also knows your hearts. She believed in your ability to forgive. He paused, wiped his face. She said to tell you that her time with you is now numbered. That every girl must leave one day. That your teachings have shaped her. But now, she must learn another world, through the eyes of her mother-in-law. Mama dropped her bowl. I raised her with milk and sweat, she said, voice shaking. And now someone wants to treat her like a maid. No, Ikanem said. She doesn't see it that way. She sees it as love, as courage. She wants to earn my mother's trust, not by force, but by kindness. He turned to Papa. Please, sir, forgive her. She didn't mean disrespect. She just didn't want to lose the one thing she's sure of, our love. There was silence. Then Papa walked into the house. Mima sighed. Tell her, we will wait. But if they break her spirit, I will personally come and carry her back. I promise, Ikanem said, rising. I will protect her heart. He bowed, then turned and walked away, with both hope and fear in his chest. Ikanem's feet pounded the dusty path as he remembered something important. Without wasting a moment, he turned back toward Ima's parents' house, his heart heavy but determined. When he arrived, Ima's father was sitting on a wooden stool, still frowning. Her mother was drying her hands after cooking. Both looked tired from the early morning heat and the night's worries. Ikanem bowed deeply and spoke with calm respect. Sir, Ma, he began, I want to assure you that as long as Ima stays with my mother, her business will continue to run well. I will come every weekend to check on her welfare, and I will bring you a weekly report. If I ever suspect any kind of mistreatment or neglect from my mother toward her, I will return her home immediately. He reached into his pocket, pulling out his phone. With a few taps, he transferred a sum of 100,000 naira into Ima's father's account, and another 20,000 naira into her mother's account. This money, he explained, is for your inconvenience and to show how serious I am. I will also be giving Ima a weekly allowance to help her live comfortably while she is at my mother's. And I promise she will come home every Saturday to visit you. There was silence for a moment as Ima's parents looked at each other in disbelief. Then, tears glistened in Mama's eyes, and Papa's stern face softened. They began to pray aloud, their voices strong and clear in the warm morning air. May the Lord bless you, Ikanem, for your wisdom and kindness. May your house never know sorrow, and may you be a strong son to both your mother and your wife. Mama wiped her tears and smiled broadly. We are proud to have you as our son-in-law, she said, her voice warm and sincere. Papa nodded in agreement, shaking Ikanem's hand firmly. You have our blessing. Take care of our daughter, and may God guide your steps. Ikanem smiled, his heart lighter than it had been in days. As he left, he knew this was only the beginning of the journey, but with love, respect, and trust, they could face whatever came next. The sun was barely rising when Ima arrived at Ikanem's mother's house. The rooster crowed as if to announce a new beginning, but nothing in Mama Ikanem's face hinted at warmth or welcome. Mama was sitting in the compound, peeling bitter cola with her sharp knife. When she saw Ima approaching, a deep frown settled on her brow. So, you're here? She asked, standing slowly. Her eyes scanned Ima from head to toe. Yes, Mama, Ima replied with a respectful bow. Drop your bag over there, she said coldly, pointing at a corner of the small veranda. And follow me to the stream. We fetch our own water here. We don't use these painted nails to fetch husbands and sit waiting for pipe-borne water. Without waiting for a response, she tied her wrapper tightly and began walking. Ima silently followed, carrying a silver basin on her head. At the stream, the other village girls whispered and stared, but Ima did not mind. She greeted everyone politely and fetched her water with as much grace as she could summon. When they returned home, Mama said, Go to the kitchen. You will help me cook. If you say you want to marry into this family, then show me what you're made of. Yes, Mama, Ima answered cheerfully. Despite the chilly welcome, Ima was determined to win this woman's heart. The kitchen was smoky and hot, filled with the aroma of native spices. Mema Ikanem began preparing afia efir, a white soup known only to skilled cooks in their tribe. This is not something you find on YouTube, Mema said sharply. Pay attention. Ima watched closely, eager to learn. She asked respectful questions, helped slice ingredients, stirred with care, and obeyed every instruction without complaint. The food began to take on a rich aroma that made the entire house come alive. By the time the meal was done, a familiar knock echoed through the compound. Ikanem had arrived. Ikanem walked into the kitchen compound, his shirt stained slightly with travel dust, his eyes searching until they landed on Ima. Ima, he exclaimed, coming to hug her. You came after all. But I told you not to. Before Ima could reply, Mama Ikanem cut in sharply. Hey, young man, keep your romance for later. Your fiancé just finished cooking. Go and sit down. She will serve you. Ikanem sighed, running a hand through his hair. Mama, all this, isn't it too much? Shouldn't we wait till after the wedding? There's time for everything. But Mama stood tall and firm, her voice like thunder wrapped in wisdom. You don't give medicine to the dead, Ikanem. You don't wait for the bone to stiffen before you start bending it. Marriage is not only about white gowns and cake. It is work. Real work. Ima, carrying the steaming tray of soup and pounded yam, stepped forward with a soft smile. She's right, Ikanem, Ima said gently. This is the life I'm choosing. If it means understanding how things are done in your family, then so be it. Your mother is only trying to make sure I can take care of her son the way she has. Ikanem looked at her with a mixture of awe and frustration. But you don't have to prove yourself like this. I do, Ima replied, setting the food down before him. To you. To her. To myself. Mama watched silently, her eyes softening just a little. She didn't say thank you, but the silence that followed wasn't cold anymore. Ikanem took a bite of the soup and paused. This is amazing, he admitted. A shadow of a smile crossed Mama's face. She didn't burn it. That's something. That night, as stars lit the village sky, Ima sat on a mat outside, exhausted but strangely fulfilled. She hadn't won Mama Ikanem's heart yet, but she had knocked. And Mama had answered the door. Ima threw her head back in laughter. Then one day, the toad went to the palace and proposed to the king's daughter. No. Ima gasped. Yes, oh. And do you know what the king said? What? Ima asked, her eyes wide. The king said, if you can catch a fly with one jump, I'll give you her hand in marriage. Mama paused dramatically. Ima leaned in. Toad jumped with all his might and hit the palace wall. Mama slapped her hands together. He never woke up. Both of them burst into laughter. Mama wiped her eyes with the edge of her wrapper. The moral is simple, Mama said, catching her breath. It's good to dream, but don't let your dreams carry you to your grave. Ima laughed until she rolled on the floor, her stomach sore and her spirit light. From that night, she began to see Mama differently. She wasn't just tough, she was deeply wise and incredibly funny. Another evening, as the moon rose and the aroma of roasted yam danced in the air, Mama Ikanem brought out another of her legendary tales. Let me tell you about Neen Kita, the nosy village chicken, she began, her face full of mischief. Every market day, Neen Kita would leave her own compound and go around poking her beak into other people's food. One day, she poked her beak into a pot of pepper soup without asking. Oh no, Ima said, already laughing. Yes, oh. The pepper soup burnt her beak and feathers. She ran around the compound screaming "Ka! Ka!" like a witch at midnight. Ima couldn't hold her laughter. From that day on, Mama said with finality, anytime you hear a chicken clucking loudly in a panic, just know that she has poked her beak where it doesn't belong. They both burst into laughter again. Ima wiped her eyes, her heart full. Mama, she said softly. You are so wise. Mama looked at her, surprised but pleased. You're a good listener. That's a rare gift. That night, Ima couldn't sleep. Not because of the chores. Not because of the work. But because she had fallen, deeply and respectfully, in love with the soul of the woman many feared. She wasn't just training her future daughter-in-law. She was giving her legacy in stories. And Ima, she was drinking deeply. And so, their love blossomed, not in luxury, but in loyalty. Not in public display, but in private sacrifice. Not through grand speeches, but in the soft, silent things. Like cooking soup for his mother. Like dancing barefoot in the sand under a full moon. Like seeing each other not as perfect, but as chosen. If this story touched your heart, if you saw a piece of yourself in Ima's strength, if you long for a love like Ikanem's, faithful, intentional, and true, then this is the family you've been waiting for. This channel was made for hearts like yours. Subscribe to join a growing tribe that believes in real love, powerful stories, and unforgettable emotions. Like this video if it moved you to tears or made you smile. Comment below. What part of Ikanem and Ima's journey melted your heart the most? Would you ever undergo 2 months of training to win your future mother-in-law's heart? Share this story with someone who believes love still lives in the little things. Because on this channel, we don't just tell stories. We resurrect emotions, one chapter at a time. Subscribe now, so you don't just watch love stories. You feel them. Until next time, keep loving, keep believing, and never settle for less than forever.